Hi everyone! How are you guys doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Well, if you remember, in my previous video, I asked you some questions. Do you remember? I asked you this question. How do you feel when speaking English? Do you feel comfortable? Confident? Do you feel uncomfortable? Or maybe do you feel like a different person when speaking English? I also asked you this question. Do you rely too much on your teacher and expect him or her to spoon feed you? Or are you trying to create those moments for yourself when you can improve and practice your English? Did you guys think about these questions? Well, today I'd like to share my story of learning English with you, and I hope it will inspire and encourage you to think about your own story. If we haven't met before, I'm Magdalena, a qualified English teacher. English is not my first language. It's not my native language. I'm not a native English speaker, and I'm not trying to pretend to be one. But English has been one of my passions for many years. I love English and I love teaching it. And I really love to share this passion and love for English with my students. And I love teaching them practical and useful things. So I do know your struggles, the challenges you might face, okay? The fears you might have. I've probably experienced the same frustrations. I can relate to you. I can connect with you. And by the way, thank you so much to everyone who gave me feedback on my previous video. Your encouraging words, even your critical reflections are really, really helpful. So again, a huge thank you. If you find this video helpful and inspiring, you can subscribe to my channel. You can leave a comment with your thoughts, with your questions, and you can give me a thumbs up, okay? So again, a huge thank you. Your feedback, positive or negative, is really, really appreciated. Again, as I promised in my previous video, I'm going to share my personal English learning journey with you. I hope you'll find it inspiring and be willing to share yours too, because everyone has a story. And remember, yours is unique because you are unique. Now, I want you to focus only on the slides, so if you don't mind, I'll take my image off the screen now so you can see them clearly, okay? Just like in my previous video, I'd like to teach you some new words and expressions in this one too. So pay attention. First of all, you guys should realize that you're so lucky, or I'd rather say blessed, to be able to learn English in the 21st century. A time when you have all the tools to learn a language. Do you know the word tool? A tool is something that helps you to do a particular activity. I'll be bold enough to say that if you're really committed means loyal, faithful, be willing to give your time and energy to something that you believe in. Okay, so if you're really committed and consistent, if you're acting in the same way over time, you can learn English on your own by wisely using all the resources available to you on the internet. Okay, let me repeat myself. I believe if you're really committed and you're consistent, you can learn English on your own by wisely using all the resources available to you on the internet. But you have to be willing to do your part. Anyway, I hope you realize there are tons of amazing tools out there for you to learn a language, right? But are you taking advantage of them? Do you know this expression, to take advantage of something? One of the meanings, because it has another meaning too, but one of the meanings of this expression is to use the good things in a situation. So are you taking advantage of all the wonderful tools on the internet? Okay, back in the day when I was learning English, we didn't have such tools. I grew up in a country where English wasn't just uncommon, it was unpopular and seemed unnecessary because traveling abroad was almost impossible. It was very complicated. So learning languages wasn't really encouraged. Why would you learn English if you weren't allowed to travel to an English-speaking country and didn't meet English speakers in your everyday life? Today, life is so different, right? We can travel anywhere we want. And yet, we had English in our school, and I started learning it. My first English teacher was a sweet person, but she had a strong, heavy accent. Our lessons were boring, and not communicative at all. We only had a boring black and white course book filled with the most uninteresting texts. These texts had nothing to do with the culture of English-speaking countries. Instead, they were very political in spirit. In our lessons, we did a lot of drilling. Do you know what drilling is? Repeating things many times. We did boring grammar exercises and read texts that were far from real-life practical English. And yet, I fell in love with the language. How? Honestly, I don't know. My parents told me about the United States, where we supposedly had an uncle living. We never heard from this uncle, but I became interested in America. I heard it was home to Disneyland. And since I loved Disney characters, I started dreaming of visiting the US and going to Disneyland one day. At that time, it was a big dream for a little girl, but it was something specific, concrete, and tangible. Tangible means real, not imaginary, something you can touch and see. Now, I'd like you to pause the video and think about your story with English. How did it all start? When was your first contact with the English language? And how was it? I would love to hear your stories. So, as I mentioned in my previous video, feel free to write your comments below or record your answers and send them to me to my email address. Here's my email address. I promise to read and listen to all of them and give you feedback. This is your story, and it's unique. So soon after I started learning English at school, I picked up a brand new hobby. Can you guess what it was? Yes, my new hobby became learning English on my own. My dad wanted to help me with my new hobby, so he bought me an English course book with cassettes. Now, those of you who are very young might not know what cassettes are. Here you go. This is a cassette. Well, you had to insert the cassette into a tape recorder, and you could play or record music with it. Okay? So my dad bought me an English course book with cassettes. This book wasn't a boring textbook. It wasn't boring like the ones we used in school. It was an exciting detective story, a story in which a detective tries to solve a crime. From the moment I started learning from it, it got more and more challenging, but also more and more interesting because it was unusual and mysterious. I could hardly wait to get home from school. Do you know the expression can hardly wait? Or you can't wait for something, okay? They mean the same. You can say, I can hardly wait for something, or I can hardly wait to do something, or I can't wait for something, like for summer, or I can't wait to see my best friend. Okay, it means when you are very excited about doing something, or you are eager for something to happen or begin. For example, the children can hardly wait for summer, right? So I could hardly wait to get home from school, finish up my chores, and have time for my favorite hobby. I loved learning English on my own. It was just me and my detective story. I loved getting to know the characters better and learning new words and expressions they used in the story. I enjoyed not only reading their story, but also listening to it on my good old cassettes. I loved the beautiful British English in the recordings. My dad even wanted to hire a private tutor to help me with English, but I said no without thinking because I didn't want anyone to stand between me and my special time of learning English. You see, for me, learning English was a very intimate time, private, personal, and I do think that learning a language should be personal and intimate and, of course, enjoyable too. Now, let me ask you at this point, do you enjoy learning English on your own, or do you only enjoy lessons with a teacher? Learning with a teacher is very important, don't get me wrong, but you should also enjoy working on your own English, trying to build it into your everyday life. Let me continue my story. Because English has become a love in my life, I try to be consistent. Remember, consistent, happening in a similar way? And I spent time on my English learning every single day. I loved the story, and I was happily learning new grammar rules, new words and expressions because they all helped me better understand the story. My point is, are you learning English from resources that you're interested in, that you're enjoying, and you're inspired by? This is so important. The little girl's love for English grew stronger and stronger, and it became so strong that she dedicated her life to teaching this beautiful language to others. I hope this small part of my English learning journey has inspired you, at least a little, to think about your own unique story. For me, this journey continues and will continue as long as God wants it to. But like I said, I'm enjoying this journey. What about you? Are you enjoying yours? Are you enjoying your English learning journey? Now, let's look at some of the words I mentioned in the video. I think these are good words to know. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Something that helps you to do a particular activity is a tool. Good job. My question for you is the following. Which language learning tools are you most grateful for, or are you most thankful for? Remember, grateful is thankful. And I have another question for you. What's your favorite language tool? Feel free to pause the video, answer this question out loud, write your answer in the comments below, or send me a recording of your answers in an audio format at my email address. Okay, here's my email address again. I promise I'll read your answers or listen to them and respond. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, the next one. To use the good things in a situation is to take advantage of them. Yes. Could you complete this sentence? I think I should take more advantage of. Okay. The next one. Repeating things several times is called, do you remember? Yes, drilling. I have some fun questions for you. Here we go. To drill or not to drill? Can you repeat that? This was my joke. Okay. What do you think about drilling? Drilling is good for students, language development, but too much can kill it. What do you think? Do you do any drilling in your English lessons? They can be actually helpful. Okay, the next one. Are you ready? Okay, what's the word? Something real, not imaginary, something you can touch and see. Right, tangible. My question or questions, have you set tangible goals in your language learning journey? Do you think you are making tangible progress in learning English? Okay, the next one. If you're loyal and willing to give your time and energy to something that you believe in, you are committed. My question for you, what are you really committed to? The next one, someone who is always behaves in the same way, has the same attitudes towards people or things, or achieves the same level of success in something. Right, someone who is consistent. I have two questions. Is consistency important when learning a language? Are you consistent with your English learning? Okay, to be very excited about doing something or eager for something to happen or begin. What are the expressions? Can hardly wait to do something or for something, or can't wait for or to, right? Can you complete this sentence about yourself? I can hardly wait to do something in English. Okay. What about these words? Do you remember them? That's right. This is a cassette and this one is a tape recorder. Well, I'm back. That's it for today, guys. In my next video, I'd like to discuss why understanding your motivations for learning a language is important, and also share with you what the main goal of learning English should be, so you can enjoy this journey even more. Take care. Thanks for your attention. Have the most beautiful day. Bye for now.